Hello, everyone. It's me once again, Uspen Yume, here as your host for The Other Side once more. And for those of you who are watching, we are most likely on our winter break at the moment. So we have for you an episode of The Other Side with a special demonic and lovely guest, Wyndy. So, Wyndy, will you please hashtag plug yourself?
Yes, of course. Hello, I'm Winton Vossler. Dete- no, I was about to. No, I can't use the
Oh,
old intro.
yeah. You need
Ah!
to think of a new
Yeah,
one.
ex detective VTuber, now wildlife researcher. It's confusing. Um, yeah. I usually do a lot of gaming content. A lot of people are familiar with that. Play RPGs, have fun. I don't. I try not to stick to a theme too much. I just have fun.
Wonderful.
Huh.
Yeah. Check Wendy out. She's amazing. Uh, I want to take bets on if she's still playing Persona by the time this airs.
Probably.
Yeah. So, yeah, in case that is, and I am Nostradamus, look forward to her playing Persona 5 Royal.
Hmm.
Um,
Hopefully, at that point, it is the royal content.
yeah. Yeah. And like I said before, I'm your host today, Sven Yume, currently writing book 2 for Lucy. And the two of us are part of VTuber Tabletop, a group that plays D&D among other things. You can check us out every Saturday at the same time. But like I said, we'll be gone for the winter, but here we are still serving up some content. And for those of you guys who aren't aware, Other Side is a talk show where we have a great guest and we just talk about the D&D characters from VTT in our homebrew campaign called Heralds, DM'd by none other than Merlin the Magister himself. So let's go ahead and jump into our questions. And you play Dante, who is not just a halfling anymore. He is so many things. Do you mind telling us a little bit about Dante?
Yeah, I can do that. Uh, I mean, Dante's like complex at this point.
Yes.
Like he started off very simply of just this little halfling potato farmer. There's nothing special in his backstory, really, and there was really nothing particular about him to begin with. Um, of course, he very quickly grew into just being an absolute damage monster. Um, but of course now he is what is it? Count Dante.
Oh, did he become a count? Wasn't he like a
Yeah,
baron?
or
Or maybe
maybe,
that
but
was
I
someone
remember I have
else.
like one title higher than the rest of you in
Yes.
Markovia.
Well, you're like the
Yeah.
right hand man of the king, aren't you?
Well, not yet, but yeah, Count Dante, future advisor to the king, sort of a wooden Asama angel person, and also I suppose I'm gonna he's gonna be doing some advisory stuff for Pintika too.
Yeah. And Herald of Solson. Can't forget about that guy.
Yes, the guy who made me into a tree.
Yeah. Friend of Koresh as well.
Oh yeah,
I'm sure we're missing something. Uh,
I mean, I don't know, intimidator of Sundaresh.
yeah. Have you seen Game of Thrones and Khaleesi?
I've I've only seen like the first season and a half, I think, and it's a long time ago.
But Daenerys Targaryen, the Khaleesi, when she introduces herself, it's like this huge long title. We need that for
Yeah.
Dante.
Also, I guess like the Nilfgaardian Emperor in The Witcher
Mhm,
has
mhm.
like 1,000 titles.
Yeah. Is that Emir? We're
Yeah,
talking about Emir.
Emir
Yeah.
var Emreis.
Yeah. That's what we need for your eventual. It's not a coronation. Your eventual, uh, I guess, rise into political power. That's how
It
you
would
want
actually
to
be
do this.
great. because it contrasts so well with his like awkwardness and fearfulness.
Yeah. And here's this guy with a 30-second long intro,
Yeah,
just of his
this
title alone.
this child is more accomplished than your local lord.
Yes. And like you said, Dante has changed a lot, but there are some things that are kind of core to his character. And one of those is his way of speaking. I'm sure everyone's noticed. And so there's kind of like an origin story to that. Do you mind sharing with the viewers on what that was?
Yeah. Um. So actually, before the first game, Dante was supposed to be sort of a more open, charismatic character. Just a bit more. But I, as a player, was being a little bit anxious, and on like one of my first lines, I accidentally stuttered, and I just went, "You know what? This is a character trait," and I instantly just flipped him. And ever since then, he's been just totally stuttery and anxious about everything, and it's just because of an accident.
That was a professional move. It's like you stepped out onto the stage, you tripped, and you did like a somersault.
Yeah, I made the accident into absolutely something that could seem on purpose.
Exactly. And I'm very curious. How hard is it to upkeep the way he speaks? Is it just natural
It's
at
kind
this
of
point?
tough. Um, well, it's also I do typically like increase the pitch a little bit too, just a smidge. Um, and that swings a lot.
Mm, I see.
Um, it's definitely something that I've gotten better at.
Mhm.
Um, but it's there are definitely times where like I'll go back and think to myself, damn, I only started like once or twice in the last couple of minutes. I should add more.
Yeah, because it's for me it seems different to an accent. Uh, the stutter. So that's why I was just very curious on how you kept that ongoing. And
It's yeah, the way I
go ahead.
do it is mostly a like it's something I do while breathing.
Mm,
So instead of changing the way I talk, I change the way I breathe,
interesting.
which which is how I manage. Yeah, I get it. So like yeah, I really just cut my words apart.
Mm, yeah, that's really cool. I never would have thought about breathing affecting the way you speak, but you're right, it totally does. Especially for someone who like talks slowly versus someone who talks very quickly. I could see breathing, you know, being a big part of playing that. So it's a good point. And then moving on to the second question, still going along with the growth and change that Dante's had. How would you say you've grown or changed as a player since you first started?
Hmm. I mean, I am definitely a much more confident player now, where I also was a more closed off, awkward person to start off with, and I've definitely gotten better, which is also part of why I have to actively stutter because
Mm-hmm.
I have grown away from being the original Dante,
Uh-huh.
where it's also easier to sort of yeah interject and hop in.
Yeah.
But really,
You
I
kind
don't
of
think I've changed that much because I have played a bunch before Dante,
mhm.
and Dante is kind of a lot like the characters I usually play.
Really. Yeah, I haven't gotten to hear much of your past characters, but it's interesting to hear that they're quite similar in certain ways. Uh, and you mentioned like one of the big things that comes with the confidence is being able to interject and speak up. And I think that's been a thing that everyone can appreciate about Dante. Because correct me if I'm wrong, was Dante more like a milquetoast to use that new word in the beginning?
He was definitely he was going to be the most average character.
Mm-hmm.
And I do still think that on some points he probably is because of his like very just like average fantasy life. He's just a dude. He's just a farmer. And in his head, in his heart, he'll always just be like I want him to always sort of see himself as just an average person.
Although he's built different.
Yeah, I mean he's definitely built different now. But he was always intended to start off as just as very milk toast, just unexceptional,
Mhm.
and that is probably some of the interesting part because of how well exceptional he's become.
Ah, that's it's a very interesting point that you put in. Uh, him always trying to believe that he's just a farmer and nothing really special. Because, maybe if it were different, he'd be like, imagine if you played a Dante who's greedy or power hungry.
Yeah.
That'd be a much
If I was
different
playing a more
character.
edgy character, Dante would, I mean, probably be dead, but it would be entirely different by just changing his motives.
do you think that's a possibility in the future?
I'm definitely seeing how some things can change, especially with recent events in the story. Um, I'm still hesitant to do anything major. I mean, a character gotta have a character's gotta have arcs, so I can't just maintain my precious boy forever. But
We've got 40 episodes, Wendy. We still got
yeah,
time.
we've got plenty of time.
We got plenty of time for Dante to become the BBG. I still don't also think that's out of the question because I still do remember that when it was like near the time travel stuff and how Dante saw like a tree and everyone else dead.
Well, I think the tree was just because Dante had died in a different way.
Ah,
I
you
don't
don't
so
think
much
it was
think that he had caused anything. I think that's just what happens when Dante dies.
oh, okay. I had a very Elden Ring millennia Scarlet Rot
Ah,
idea going on. Like he was maybe Solsana had died and he had taken the a pact with Vutain and then
ooh,
caused it like basically Scarlet Rot thing where he just
that
destroyed the
would have been
world.
very cool.
Yeah.
I mean, there was that time we fought Rutain pre
He did.
him, pre his godhood, where I did offer it,
Yeah. So that means
and
it's
it
not
would
out of the
be very
question.
interesting what would have happened. Yeah, there could have been a different timeline where that happened.
And yeah, that could have been a different timeline. And I
Mm.
think, as powerful as Dante is, he can't be everywhere at once. And so I think one of his greatest weaknesses on defeating Dante is aiming for the people who aren't as strong, such as his friends. Yeah,
Oh, I think so too.
because it's very clear that if his friends are in danger, he's willing to give up if that's how he saves their lives.
He's very willing to sacrifice himself for others in like in a pinch. But we've also seen him get a bit angry at times, and there's like a balance between when you make Dante surrender and when you make him Jojo walk towards you with like a fully charged inflict wounds.
Mhm, mhm. Jeez, inflict wounds. That's it's definitely become Dante's like one of his signature moves, other than Eldritch Blast, obviously.
Yeah. I mean, Eldritch Blast is a mainstay of any warlock. It's just great.
It is.
And inflict wounds, I don't know why. I think it's partly because it's such a powerful spell, but it's just everything about it is just so right.
Mhm.
Just that physical contact, that yeah, touching someone's death like a root sucking up nutrients.
Is that what it looks like when Dante does it? He just basically desiccates the enemy.
Well, yeah, that's also how Merlin has always been describing it. Like it drains them up, it turns them to dust.
And now that you kind of mentioned the recent events, obviously, probably spoilers for anyone who's watching. But in one of the more recent episodes, and Dante's encounter with Erdi, one of the things that Merlin, as Erdi, kind of used to evoke a response was bringing up all the people that have been killed. Could you give some insight onto what Dante might have been thinking at that time?
Absolutely. Um, so for Dante, one of his big things is that, of course, he wants to fight to protect those he cares about, and in that moment, it's sort of I think he's had the revelation before, but he got to thinking about that some of these people probably also had people to protect.
Mm-hmm.
And sort of even if even if the party has killed a lot of more or less objectively evil people, so there are bound to have been some like good ones among them. And just on like a small percentage of good people among them would still be probably more people than lived in Dante's village, for example, and like it was very overwhelming for him to think he could have robbed someone else of the entirety of his earlier life, like taking
Mm-hmm.
out so many people.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think he's entirely done thinking about that.
I I doubt he would be. Yeah,
Yeah.
because that's totally right. Like, whether you're evil or objectively evil, uh, evil people don't necessarily. Uh, no, I said that wrong. Evil people can still love other people, right?
Yeah.
Um, yeah, and when you take away one person, you're essentially taking away so many things for other people, like whether it's someone's child, someone's parent, someone's lover. You know, you affect more than just the dead person when you kill someone.
It's it's a whole network, a spider web being torn apart.
Yeah. And
And
speaking of that, oh, go ahead.
hmm? No, I was just gonna say that, like for example, with the way the party's been so tormented by the sisters and other factions, how many of our enemies aren't also just poor people fighting for their chance for freedom?
Yeah.
There could be another like poor farmer in there.
And like to add on to that, it'd be a really cool thing for Merlin to add, because the group, and especially Dante, have killed so many people. It would be interesting to see like their friends, their families, like coming after us,
Mhm.
uh, for revenge or whatever. Um, because we've what is our total? body count for uh for VTT. It has to be over like, especially considering the war. It has to be over like 11,000.
Oh yeah, I mean the war adds a lot of thousands.
Yeah. Um. Dang. And if you just take like the 3 degrees of separation, 11,000. That's a lot of people that we've affected that are potentially pissed at us for doing what we did. Yeah, that'll be a very interesting concept to touch upon if we ever do. And in addition to the big event with Erdi, there's another big event that happened before that, which was Dante getting stabbed by Adam and dying. On top of that, what was what was your reaction as a player to that, and what was Dante's uh, thoughts as that was happening?